हेलो फ्रेंड्स, वेलकम बैक टू माय चैनल। तो आज हम लोग शुरू करने वाले हैं ब्रिक्स बैंक। ठीक है, ब्रिक्स बैंक क्या होता है, इसके कौन कौन पार्टनर होते हैं, ठीक है, और ये क्यों बनाया गया है, ये सब आज डिस्कस करेंगे। तो चलिए शुरू करते हैं। तो ब्रिक्स बैंक क्या होता है, सबसे पहले देख लीजिए। टुगेदर विद द प्रोसेस ऑफ ग्लोबलाइजेशन, वर्ल्ड रीजनल फोर्सेस हैव आल्सो बीन asserting their power through different sort of alignment. The Fortaleza Declaration of Heads of State, late July 2014, from the Brazil, Russia, India, China, and South Africa. The BRICS countries is another such attempt. Creation of BRICS Bank, that is New Development Bank. Major highlights of the bank are given below. The bank will have initial subscribed capital of $50 billion, equally shared by 5 nations. And the nation I told you early. And the capital base is to be used for funding infrastructure, sustainable development project in the BRICS countries initially. Other low and middle income countries will be able to receive funding as time progresses. A contingency reserve arrangement of $100 billion is to be also created to provide additional liquidity protection to member nations during the balance of payment crisis. The CRA is being funded 41% by China, 18% each from Brazil, India, and Russia, and 5% from South Africa. The CRA, according to the declaration, is a framework for the provision of currency swaps in the response to actual or potential short-term BOP pressures. More than establishment of NDB. The Fortaleza Declaration is remarkable for adoption of one nation, one vote prescriptions for the proposed bank. The Bretton Woods institutions, the World Bank and IMF have structures that are not equitable. As per the expert, two factors triggered the birth of NDB. First, the BRICS have emerged as a big economic power and solidified their ties in terms of commerce and the emerging market economies. Developing countries, and they are forced to be reckoned within the global economy. Their disenactment with the Bretton Woods institutions has been growing over the year. Two statements of the Fortaleza Declaration make the situation clearer. We are confronted with the persistent political instability and conflict in various global hotspots and non-conventional emerging threats. On the other hand, international governance structure designed within a different power configuration show increasingly evident sign of losing legitimacy and effectiveness. A transitional and ad hoc arrangements become increasingly prevalent, often at expense of multilateralism. Okay. Second one is, we believe the BRICS are an important force for incremental change. We believe the BRICS are an important force for incremental change and reform of current institutions towards more representative and equitable governance, capable of generating more inclusive growth and fostering a stable, peaceful, and prosperous world. The BRICS Bank development comes at a time when reforms at the Bretton Woods institution fail to fructify for one region or the other, and with the US, European nation is still not reconciled to concede BRICS nations as a greater voice in the governance structure of the Bretton Woods institutions. Whether the BRICS sponsored National Development Bank will be fitting to Bretton Woods twin depends on host of factors, and these factors among other are to put in place a conflict resolution mechanism, to devise a robust credit appraisal mechanism, to put in place an effective supervisory regime. The BRIC sponsored development bank is not an isolated and unique initiative. Similar initiatives had sprung up in the past. To blunt the might of Bretton Woods twin, the Development Bank of Latin America created by Andean nations, and in 1960, the Chiang Mai Initiative is the early 2010 Asian nation plus China, South Korea, Japan to establish a network of bilateral currency swap pact in wake of Asian currency crisis. Established under Bank of South by Latin America countries in 2009 were the result of escalating dissatisfactions with the US dominated IMF and World Bank. India and NDB. India is supposed to be the biggest beneficiary of the bank, and this means quite possible as certain priorities of India match well with the priorities and lending provisions of the bank, such as the bank aims at sustainable projects. Prioritizing environmentally sustainable projects. 75% of its funds dedicated to this cause alone, while India is working today on the world's biggest plan of promoting green energy through multiple means. By February 2025, India had availed a total fund of 8.2 billion US dollar, inclusive of COVID-19 emergency provision loan of 1 billion US dollar, to promote projects across a variety of sectors such as renewable and green energy, transportation, roads and bridges. Let's talk about Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank. The Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank was officially launched in 2014 by China, with 21 Asian nations as the founding members. By September 2024, the bank had a total of 110 members, regional and non-regional. Non-regional in the sense, and the member which is not belong to Asia Pacific region from across the world, including 14 prospective members. Still, the US and Japan have not joined it. However, experts suggested them to support it, especially when the existing mechanism, the World Bank and Asian Development, is not able to cater to the infrastructural needs of continent. Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank is aimed at providing finance to infrastructure projects in the Asia region. As a multilateral institution, it is planned to operate broadly in same manner as existing multilateral development banks such as World Bank and ADB. While much of debate is centered on whether the AIIB will complement or compete with existing organizations, it is intended to be more commercial bank with nations as shareholders than a purely development and institutions. In the wake of COVID-19 pandemic, a proposal under consideration as per which the bank may also start financing social infrastructure. The AIIB will start with an authorized capital base of 1 billion US dollar to be enhanced to 100 billion US dollar. Experts have termed it as a rival for the IMF, the World Bank and the ADB, which are regarded as dominated by developed countries like World Bank and ADB. Developed countries like US, the United Nations had addressed the launch of AIIB as scaling up of financing for sustainable development and for the concern of global economic governance. As per the expert analysis, there are several factors which are behind such an initiative coming from China. The major ones are given below. Chinese government has been frustrated with what it regards as the slow pace of reform and governance and wants greater input in global established institutions such as IMF and World Bank and ADB. Its claims are dominated by American, European and Japanese interests. ADB, a Manila-based regional development bank designed to facilitate economic development in Asia, estimated in report that developing Asian countries have an infrastructure demand of about 8 trillion US dollar between 2010 to 2020. $2.5 trillion for roads and railroads, $4.1 trillion for power plants and transmission, $1.1 trillion for telecommunication, and $0.4 trillion for water and sanitation investment. Oxford Economics reports that by 2025, the region will constitute 60% of global infrastructure investment, with China's share alone expected to increase from around 22% to 36% over the next decades. Despite the significant economic growth enjoyed by countries such as China, India, and South Korea in recent decades, many countries among the developing Asian regions are still mired in poverty, suffering from a profound lack of access to modern day necessities such as sanitation, reliable power grid, and adequate transportation and communication network. It is believed that the new bank could allow Chinese capital to finance these projects and allow it a greater role to play in economic development of regional commun- commensurate with its growing economic political clout. And this is done for the today. We will talk the next thing tomorrow, and keep watching my video. Thank you so much.